So one day, people commented on my last TikTok telling me to go dumpster diving and take whatever I find to the pawn shop. And I wasn't really finding anything, went to this bookstore, didn't find any books. Then I went to this dumpster, hopped in, and started digging around until eventually, after hours of dumpster diving, I found a Star Wars Pez dispenser that I took to the pawn shop. I walked in the store and he said,
"What in the world is that?"
"I've had this for a very long time. One of a kind Star Wars Pez dispenser."
Wow, that is pretty cool. No candy in it. Do you eat all the candy? It's worthless.
You just gotta buy the candy. I mean, it's a collectible. And then he asked me how much.
What do you think it might be worth?
$30.
How long have you had it?
Like, years.
Oh, is it like this one?
Then he started comparing it to ones on eBay.
Pez dispenser. You sure you didn't buy this on eBay for 99 cents?
That one looks different. I then did my best to convince him the true value of it.
I'd probably give you 50 cents because I think it's kind of cool.
And I knew I had to do it. He gave me the 50 cents and I used half of it for these Skittles. I was a winner after all.
I got my money back.
So one day, to find out if there was really still watermelon trapped inside my giant rubber band ball, I made another rubber band ball with a watermelon. My goal was to cut it open after adding a bunch of bands to it and making it perfectly round, and then find out if there was watermelon inside. I made it into a ball like this, tested how bouncy it was, threw it in a pool, and apparently rubber band balls sink. So we got it out and then tried to cut it open with this, a sword, this saw, then these big lawn scissors, but nothing was working until I got this box knife. Don't try this at home, but eventually we got it all the way unraveled. And after making it completely to the center, I only saw tiny crumbs of watermelon. One day, since it was 105 degrees, I wanted to test if I could cook an egg on my driveway. After making sure no one was watching me, I cracked an egg and then let it sit. The concrete was extremely hot, but I still had no idea if this would even work. I tapped the egg like this, and it felt really cool. Then I waited by the dumpster, started playing with it like this, kind of broke the yolk. Then I got mad at a cloud blocking my sun, but kept on pushing through. Eventually, my phone overheated, though, so I had to put it in the fridge and get my freezer phone out. At this point, the egg had been on the concrete for quite a while, and it was starting to look like this. Bon appetit. So one day, I wanted to attempt to build shoes that would make me walk on water. So I went to Walmart and bought water repellent spray, some foam board, and some duct tape, and then I got to work building these shoes. This board floats pretty well like this. Then I sprayed it completely down with the water repellent, sprayed some on myself, then duct taped the boards to my foot like so, until eventually I had perfect water shoes that would allow me to run on the water. I stepped off the dock to start walking. Yeah, it broke. So it's part 98 of my over 1,500 pound rubber band ball. I ordered more bands at the price of $230. I recruited some help and then got out at looping all 50 pounds of bands to place on the ball. And this is the longest I've gone in between rubber band ball videos. Rubber bands have been pretty difficult to get lately, but as long as you guys keep liking and supporting these videos, I'll keep on adding more bands to the rubber band ball. We finished adding bands, threw some stuff, and then aired up this hamster ball. People wanted me to try to fit the ball in it, but I couldn't, so I threw it on top. Then I stood on the ball like this and hopped off. Like for me to keep going. So one day I set out to make a fully functional cardboard boat with a motor attached. I went to Walmart and got a bunch of cardboard. And then I went home to figure out how I was going to be able to support this motor on a cardboard boat. The cardboard's too flimsy and the battery in the motor is really heavy. It will have to attach to the boat somehow like this. So I just got to work building around the motor with a bunch of layers of cardboard. You know, flipping it, taping it, adding even more cardboard, taping all that down and around, adding some more, then some more, until eventually I called it a day, and the next day I had to go get more supplies to make it even sturdier. This boat has to be completely strong enough to hold me, the battery, and the motor, so we have to make it float. We reinforced the bottom with double-sided cardboard like this, then taped that all down and the entire bottom to help waterproof it before we added the Flex Seal and the great stuff. I started by spraying the entire bottom with blue Flex Seal and then some white to make it look frosted, and then I started on the great stuff. My friend Austin then sprayed it to look like a flaming Cheeto, and all we have to do is wait for it to dry and then test it tomorrow. So one day it was part 2 of making a working cardboard boat with a real motor. We Flex Sealed and great stuffed the entire cardboard boat, and the next day it looked ready to float. My friends and I loaded it up and took it out to the pond where we would test it out. The motor was spinning, we put it in the water, and I was off after a little push from this oar. The boat was holding up amazingly well, and the engine was pushing me surprisingly really fast. I couldn't believe it. I'd made the first ever cardboard boat with an engine. Then this RC boat zoomed by me and I conned the boat back to shore. It's officially part 99 of my giant rubber band ball, and this is 50 more pounds of rubber bands that we're about to add on to the ball. We start by looping all the bands together like this, which is the longest part. We sit there for what feels like an eternity, just looping band after band after band until the pile is completely empty. We're almost to rubber band ball part 100, which is crazy, and for part 100 we're going to be placing 100 pounds on the rubber band ball. And we finished up these two 25-pound strands like this until the ball was finished. Weighing literally 1,600 pounds, it almost took out my tripod. So one day someone commented saying I should run over the eggs on the purple mattress to see if that would crush them. So now I gotta try it. My brother pulled the truck up and then I did a quick fall test to see how that would do. None of the eggs broke until I let them roll off. But now it was time to see if they could survive the truck. The tire went over the eggs cleanly and we couldn't see anything yet until he pulled off, and yeah. Comment any other ideas. So one day I googled my net worth and it turns out I was a multi-millionaire. I was so shocked and happy. I could finally really start to enjoy life with no boundaries. Money was no object for a guy like me. I even went to Starbucks.
Hey there, welcome to Starbucks.
And paid $7 for this pink drink. And I still had $29,399,993. So I had an idea. Buy some friends.
Yo, be my friend.
Okay.
I was so excited that I took my new best friend to go buy this Tesla. It was a really nice car and he was so happy. Then I went to check my bank and I realized I wasn't a millionaire. It's been a minute since I made a rubber band ball video and a lot of you have been wondering where it was. And it's been here, in my garage. And I bet you're wondering why it's here. It all started when I had to move it out of my warehouse. So that was a big process. Because it's 1,700 pounds and requires heavy machinery and a big trailer to move it. It got on the road and then went into my neighborhood, which is where we unloaded the ball like this and pushed it on into the garage, where it's set here for a while. And I'm not done with the rubber band ball series, but for now, the rubber band ball's taking a little break. So one day I bought a tiny inflatable bouncy house to float down the creek in. It was pretty bouncy and seemed like it would make a pretty good boat. I flipped inside of it like this and then it was time to test it out. We took it to the creek, walked it all the way down over a bunch of rocks and stuff. I jumped in and I was off. I did it. I was floating down the creek in a miniature bouncy house. I bet my parents are proud. My goal was to make it all the way to the stronger current over here, but I got stuck, so I had to push it out. But after that, I was flying. The bouncy house was moving so fast. Then we approached this fallen tree that I actually made it through. And the bouncy house was a success. Comment what else I should try. This is my giant 1,600-pound rubber band ball, and as many of you know, it started from, an exploding watermelon. And for over the last 2 years, it's continued on past what I ever thought it would. Weighing over 1,600 pounds, we're on our way to a world record. Well, kinda, we're still like 8,000 pounds away, but the point is, this ball's come a long way, and it's only the beginning. Just kidding, because we're gonna completely destroy it. Yeah, just kidding again, it's indestructible. But the next part is part 100, and we're adding 100 pounds of rubber band, so stay tuned. So one day I flew all the way out to California to try In-N-Out for the very first time. There's none of these where I live, and apparently people like them. The aesthetic was very nice. I looked at the menu and decided I wanted a burger, some fries, and a milkshake. I also got a drink, and it had these cool touchless things. Here's my burger and fries. They looked really good. The milkshake was amazing. I then dipped my french fry into my shake, and it was amazing. Now it was time for the burger, and it was pretty good. In-N-Out, I'd say it lived up to the expectation. It's Rubber Band Ball Part 100. It's crazy to think 2 years ago this ball started from a watermelon and now it's literally almost 1,700 pounds. And for Part 100 I ordered a very pricey 100 pounds of rubber band. This is the most amount of bands we've ever placed in one sitting, so I'm not looking forward to it. And if you've never seen one of these, we literally just loop all the bands because they're too small to wrap around the ball. We loop them into strands like this, and after a very long time, 3 hours to be exact, the pile disappeared, leaving us with these long strands that we then just wrap around the ball. And just like that, here's another 100 pounds being added on to the rubber band ball. Even though this ball is massive, we're still a long way from the world record. Give this video a like and I'll keep going. So one day I wanted to recreate how I made my giant rubber band ball by putting a bunch of rubber bands around a bunch of random stuff. I got a basketball, glue, a piñata, and another watermelon. I started trying to bust the piñata with bands, but it failed. So I moved on to the big bottle of glue, just wrapping tons of bands around the glue until it would explode. Yeah, it looked pretty crazy. Then I moved on to the basketball, which began to get deformed. So I decided to throw it in the cul-de-sac to see if it would explode. And after multiple throws, nothing. And we still had one final thing in attempts of making another tiny rubber band ball. After a while, the bottom of the watermelon began to crack until eventually it just exploded. It exploded perfectly onto the chair, leaving behind this tiny little rubber band ball. Let me know what I should do with it. Guys, I'm in this insane underground bunker, and check this out.
And then we got a secret bathroom with a toilet, a sink, and a shower. And then when you want, you can just close it back up.
And now, I'm chilling in a hidden bunker bathroom. So one day I decided to go metal detecting near the woods and search for treasure. This was the first beep we got. We dug it up, sifted through the dirt, and found this. Yeah, it was just a random piece of metal, so then I headed for the woods to see if I could find something better. And after a little bit longer, we found this piece of metal. But not too long after that, we found this. I started digging and I hit something really hard and also really shiny. I dug around it a bunch more until I could get it out of the ground. We got it out of the ground and it was a locked safe. It was really crazy and still turned on, so I tried to enter the code but failed. So I just threw a rock at it, hoping to bust it open, then threw it in the pool. I wanted to try to drown it open. I had to rescue the safe though, because it went underwater. I got the safe back up on dry land and then attempted busting it open with rubber bands, which eventually worked way better in my head, so I just threw it at a tree, and then another tree. And well, another tree. But the safe still wasn't open, so I resorted to my slingshot, which busted it right open along with everything inside. And inside was the SpongeBob movies. So one day I ordered this red party pool dye to prank my parents by turning their entire pool red. My dad was already acting suspicious, but we carried on, cleaning the pool out and then getting ready to dump it all in. Once I started pouring, it was completely bright red. I swam underneath it and it looked so cool. It looked like I was in the middle of a shark attack or something. And I didn't really know how to spread it out all the way, so I just started swimming in it a bunch and splashing it around, and it started to spread. I added a little bit more into the other side and eventually the pool looked ready. Come back tomorrow to see the reaction. So this is part 2 of getting kicked out for dyeing my parents' pool red. After getting kicked out and turning this storm shelter into my new home, you guys commented saying that I should turn it into a gaming setup. And so today, to make the most out of living in here, that's what I'm gonna do. I came out of the storm cellar and then went to sneak back in to grab a TV and an Xbox. I stole this TV out of the spare bedroom and took it back to the storm shelter, and then I went back to grab this Xbox and Minecraft. And lastly, I just needed power, so I got multiple extension cords and hooked it up until I had my Xbox. I loaded an old world I hadn't played in forever, and I was actually playing Minecraft in the cellar. Let me know what else I should try. So one day I set out to make the world's biggest paper airplane. First I went to Walmart with my minion to gather all the supplies, poster board and Gorilla Tape. I then went home and taped 4 pieces together like this and started folding it into an airplane. And because of the size of the plane, it was a bit flimsy, so I had to reinforce it with extra tape. The plane was now ready for test flight 1, which went pretty smoothly. Look at it go. I then climbed up onto this shed and threw it again, and I hit a tree. But the next flight soared for quite a while. Whoosh. So I decided to go even higher. And remember, don't try this at home. And the plane flew like a perfect giant airplane.